Hi, beautiful souls. This is Sadhana. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my deck collection series. And today I'm going to share with you a few decks that I've called tattoo inspired. These decks are really fun and bright and colorful, and I'm going to share with you some of my favorite cards from each of these decks. On the left is the Bonefire. This is Sawyers Path. The Numinous, 8 coins, which has been trimmed, so it's a little smaller than original, and the Sawyers Path. The Bonefire is an intensely colored deck, rich in symbolism. And it's one of those decks that each time I pull it out, I see something different. I see something that I didn't see the last time, or there's another question that arises. And right now, as I'm gazing at these cards, I'm looking at the twisted nature of the twigs, of the roots. And I have all these questions coming to my mind that I want to ask and that would come forth in a reading if this card had appeared in a reading. I love the aces in this deck. I think Gabby Angus West did a magnificent job with them. The keyhole here is also particularly drawing my attention. So I wanted to show you a couple of the aces because they are just rich and so full of potential for the suit, which is what the aces are supposed to be. And I know there's been a bit of conversation about the pine cones that she chose to represent the suit of wands. And I love the rich symbolism of that, connecting the pineal gland to the pine cones. And she did such a great job in the guidebook as well too. This is a deck that I do at some point when I purchase a guillotine cutter. A high quality guillotine cutter will trim this deck because I need to bring it to more of a tarot size shape. So I will be trimming probably just the sides so I can get longer, narrower cards. I just like that feel of a card in my hand. And this is one of the cards, even before I had the deck, that just really kind of drew me to it. I am a bath person. Yeah. And for me to have the double, so the name of each of the cards on the artwork as well as below it's definitely redundant, but sometimes it does get lost in the artwork. So if you are doing a large spread or you are newer to the deck, it is, it's helpful to have the card title below. 8 of Coins is a card that I deeply connect to and I really like to take my time with, and I love that we have so much going on here. In the deck, one of the aspects is to really sit with the question of why did Gabby place the Bonefire where she did on each of the cards, because I think that in itself speaks to, or has the potential to speak to, something really special in the reading. Here with the Bonefire tattoo on the back is, I think it's kind of magical. And this ball of yarn that's coming up out of the bottom left-hand corner. This deck just really, really fascinates me. And if there is a deck that if you like to take your time with cards and you like to kind of explore and do, slower readings, like where you journal with each of the cards, this is just such a really great deck for that. She doesn't hold back in regards to, I know, and I mentioned this before, is that every single card is neither good nor bad. Every card has light, every card has shadow. And in this 9 of Cups, so much has come to the surface, and I laugh because we have all this water around here, that it's easy for the reader to really understand what is, no, that's not what I want to say. I want to say that there is no difference between the shadow and the light. We need both of them. And so she has completely integrated the shadow and the light in the card. And that is really unique in a deck because usually artists go one direction or the other direction. So here's an example of the title kind of getting lost in the artwork. So 7 of Cups is up here. So this is definitely, going to help people who are newer to the deck. And so I find this deck kind of an adventure. Love this Five of Coins. For me, the Five of Coins is often about not seeing what is being offered. Sometimes we need the space. Sometimes we need to be in the cold. We need to be in the dark, and we need to be in that kind of, I don't want to say poverty mentality, but a mentality of scarcity, let's put it that way. And we're not quite ready to receive and to accept. And there is this, so the fire here is mirrored in the fire that is inside where the warmth is. And so she has everything that she needs within herself, or this character here has the opportunity to step inside and to be with it. So yeah, so it's definitely one of those decks that is open to lots of different kinds of conversations and interpretations. The Numinous is also rich in color and symbolism, and is one of those decks where you need to take your time, because every time you do a reading, something else is going to pop up to you. Looking at this card, it didn't occur to me with this 10 of Tomes that this is a really good card for direction, because you can use kind of the energy here, the way the perspective is drawn, to use this point here as pointing towards something, as these three figures are, facing in that direction. I really like the shift in the names of the minor suits. So for Pentacles, we have Tomes. And just the use of that word, right? It has quite a profound energy in itself. For Swords, we have Bells, which completely works. And I really like that card. I completely understand it. For Cups, we have Vials. That's my doggie crying in the background. Sometimes when she dreams, she's really noisy. For Fire, we have Candles. So for Wands. And while this deck is loosely Rider-Waite-Smith based, the subtle shifts in energy just bring in another perspective. And I think that is the value of owning multiple decks, is to really begin to question and begin to bring in these additional layers as you are ready. And I think decks will present themselves as you are ready to expand your awareness of the energy of certain cards. And I've showed you quite a few of the Tomes cards because it is my favorite suit in this deck. Love this 6. And what else did I want to say? Oh, I want to show you the court cards. So there's also a shift in the titles for the court cards. So for the Queens, we have Creators, which is easy to remember. Isn't that a great Lovers card? I know one of my daughters would really appreciate that aspect of love being, it's not just about relationship between two people. It's a huge, huge energy that is something we need to be working on many, many levels. It's a great card. And the fact that there are bells in these sword cards it's a memory for me. I have always had issues with my ears, and it's partly to do with my clairaudience, but I think also physically there must be something in my anatomy and in my energy body that makes me very, very sensitive to sound. And so having bells here is just a reminder of certain experiences where I've been with teachers who use bells to raise the energy, raise the frequency of a mantra or a room, and just really being aware of their power. 4 of Candles. I've already shown this deck, so I should go through a little more quickly. The aces are really kind of cool. And I wanted to show you so here, instead of knights, we have explorers. And we have Sorry, I should have pulled these out. There is another example of a knight. So there's the Knight of Cups, the Explorer. For the pages, we have Dreamers. So there's your Dreamer of Candles. And then for the Kings, we have Mystics, I believe. And this deck has an extra card. So there's your Numinous. That Nine of Bells is just perfect. If you've heard one of these chimes, you know how loud these chimes are. For the Empress, we have the Nurturer, and there we have a Mystic. So the Mystic is the energy of the King, but it has its own unique energy, and they work really well with this deck. And not having as much of a hierarchy as opposed to individual qualities, I think is really beautiful on these court cards. This is a trimmed copy of the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot by Lana Zellner. Another deck, richly colored, rich in symbolism. Love this 4 of Wands, how the feminine energy of the flowers balances the masculine energy of the wands to create the stability. It just makes so much sense to me. And this Moon card is brilliant. I like these lines of energy here, much like that in the previous deck in the Numinous. I showed you in the 10 of Pentacles how the perspective creates an energy of focus. And I think in any given reading, one of these moon phases might speak to you. So if you have a timing question, or there might be something particular about the energy of that phase, or it might be a reading about cycles, and all of those will speak to you. In the 7 of Cups, the fact that there's nothing in any of the cups, again, we have this open kind of energy to allow the reading to go however you would like it to go. The 7 of Wands, I think I've spoken to this before. I love her attitude and that she's taken the charge. And there's a reason why she's moving forward with that attitude. And I think far too often in a reading, we go to the negative energy of the 7 of Wands, and to always remember that every single card is neither good nor bad, and we need to find that balanced energy between the light and the dark of each of the cards. That's why I don't read reversals, is because I try to find that energy, or the energy that needs to come forth in any card, whether it is upright or upside down. Yeah, I love the artwork on the 6 of Swords. And likewise on this 8. I know this is a really, really different 8. Wouldn't that make amazing tattoo? It's really stunning. So yeah, so this is quite the deck. And again, if you look deeply into the pictures, there are different things that are going to come forth. Like on a first glance, you may not see the love tattoo on the fingers, and that might come forth in another reading for another reason. You might need to see that, right? And you may or may not see this tarot card here the first time that you look at the card. And so a lot of people don't like these decks because they're busy. But I think in their busyness, it gives an opportunity to have different perspectives come forth for different readings. Yeah, that Death card's pretty cool. So yeah, this is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. This is a Sawyers Path Tarot by Jamie Sawyer. It is currently out of print, but I always encourage viewers to go to the creator's Instagram account or go to their website, subscribe to their newsletter, because you never know when these decks are going to come back into print. So we have another brilliantly colored deck, rich in symbols that are kind of hidden within the images. You'll also notice that we have no titles on these cards. So it really makes for a deck that works well if you read more as a storyteller. Here we have the lotus root, full lotus, lotus bud here, and the Triskele, triple goddess symbol. I really believe that whatever symbol needs to come into your focus in any given reading will come forth. With the minors in the swords, there's a frame, there's a window, and for me that works really well with swords to remember to keep perspective in that suit. Also gives you an opportunity to decide which side of the window you may be on. Facings are really good in this deck as far as minors and court cards, and a really good range of age as well too. She did a great job with that. So here we have a little bit older Knight of Pentacles, and love this Strength card with the Lion Cub and the silver-haired woman. This Two of Pentacles really speaks to me. I understand how, I don't want to say the urgency of balance, but the need to be conscious of it, because we can be swept off our feet at any given time. So if we make balance a practice, as opposed to something we do just in recovery or in reaction, things can be, so much simpler. Yeah, and the Suit of Wands is definitely my favorite suit. So there are crystals on the ends of each of the wands. And if you work with crystals, you can speak to the energy of the crystals. And I love how they're kind of woven, just really beautiful sticks. There's your Queen of Fire and then your Queen of Pentacles. So even though she is forward facing in the Queen of Fire, she is kind of looking in this direction. Beautiful Death card. Yeah, so these decks work, if you really like that kind of saturated color, these decks just do so these are the swords I was talking about with the windows. So they all have that window perspective. And then there's an Eight of Cups. This is the Sasrabito by Stacia Burrington. And of the decks I've shown you, this one, I believe, has the greatest degree of black ink. And in a few moments, I will line up the decks side by side so you can get a feel for the balance of color and black ink in each of the decks. I'll just show you a few cards. I really like this deck. It is one of my favorites. She did a really good job with the pages. I love their energy. And the cards that have shifted away from an straight up RWS kind of image really make sense to me. And I have had no problem reading and working with this deck with many different sorts of clients. And here we have the wheel tattooed on her chest. Yeah. There's another great page. Beautiful Hermit card. I've spoken to many of these cards before. I did a full walkthrough when I first received the deck, and I'll put a card for that up above in the top right corner. Just so many good things to say. And the court cards are super easy to work with if you're looking for a deck. If you're having trouble with court cards, this deck definitely is easy to work with in that regard. So yeah, beautiful Queen of Cups. I did not, surprisingly, bring this deck into the video I did of decks on diversity, and I think Stacey has done a really good job with that in this deck. So I wanted to kind of give this an honorable mention because there's lots of different ethnicities, ages, body types represented in this deck, and so there was definitely a conscious effort to bring that into this deck. So I'm sorry I didn't include that in the decks of diversity, but I think it fits really well in the ink decks as well too. Yeah. So just give me a few moments and I'm going to pull out a few cards from each deck and we'll look at the colors side by side. Let's have a look at 5 cards from the 5 decks side by side. On the left is Bonefire, Numinous, 8 Coins, Sawyers Path, and Sawyers. So we're looking at the Queen of Pentacles, or the Creator of Tomes in a Numinous, and the Queen of Coins in Bonefire. And here is the 2 of Wands, or rods, or candles. And the World. And the Ace of Cups. And the last card today is Death. I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to chatting with you about the cards and the decks in the comments below. Stay well, my friends. Namaste.